Today is Friday, January 18th, and today I'm going to take a little deeper dive into the Cowboys situation, and then some notes, some really impressive notes about the playoff contenders playing this weekend.
And now, a word from our title sponsor.
We aim to turn your nest egg into a paycheck with half the amount you've been led to believe. Fluent Financial combines in-house portfolio design and risk management with income-generating investments designed to accelerate your financial independence. Our goal is to develop an effective portfolio strategy to help you retire sooner and have a better lifestyle. Visit fluentfinancial.com.
Mary and I are Crest Cadillac people for what, about 15 years now?
That's about right. Crest Cadillac XT4. Perfect size, perfect ride for us.
Crest Cadillac at 121 on the Tollway in Frisco now has terrific offers on the Cadillac Lyriq and the soon-to-be-available all-electric Escalade. GM Mike Brusen's team is fantastic to work with, so join Mary and me as
Crest Cadillac people.
Let's get into the playoffs this weekend through the Cowboys. I'll explain that as we go along. I'm going to start by saying I like Dak Prescott. I think he's a good quarterback. He's a fine leader. He appears to be a fine man. But as he ages and injuries become more and more of a factor, and then there's that huge contract tying the Cowboys' hands, I'm starting to look at the quarterback position as a candidate for the Cowboys' head coaching job would. Also, Dak's just starting that 4-year, almost totally guaranteed contract, and his play last season was the poorest of his career before he went out in Game 8 with an injury, and he's been poor in the playoffs. Okay, with all that as a background, I'm going to ask you some questions. There's some 8 teams left in the NFL playoffs. In the NFC, Philadelphia, Detroit, the Rams, and Washington. In the AFC, Baltimore, Kansas City, Buffalo, and Houston. I have questions about their quarterbacks. Those quarterbacks are Jalen Hurts in Philly, Matt Stafford with the Rams, Jared Goff with Detroit, young Jaden Daniels in Washington, Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, Josh Allen in Buffalo, and C.J. Stroud in Houston. My question is, based strictly on performance, forget the age and the injuries and the money, though all those do play a factor. Based strictly on performance, would any of those 8 teams trade their quarterbacks for Dak Prescott? Hurts, Goff, Stafford, Daniels, Jackson, Mahomes, Allen, Stroud. I'm saying no. Now let's dig a little deeper to 4 teams eliminated from the playoffs. San Francisco with Brock Purdy, Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, Green Bay with Jordan Love, and the Chargers with Justin Herbert. Would any of those 4 teams trade their quarterback for Dak Prescott? No. Now that's 12 quarterbacks. Let's flip it around for a minute. Would the Cowboys trade Dak Prescott for any one of the 12? Yes, they would. Okay, that's 12 teams. Now let's dig a little deeper. Jacksonville's Trevor Lawrence, Tampa Bay's rejuvenated Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray in Arizona, Denver rookie Bo Nix, who debuted so impressively, and New England quarterback, the rookie Drake May, who's gotten a lot of praise from just the little play we've seen of him. You get the picture. And this is the picture all prospective coaching candidates of the Cowboys must consider before coming to Dallas. And it's a picture that you, the Dallas fans, must realistically face also. Next, some wonderful notes about some of the playoff teams in action this weekend, and yet one more Cowboy note.
For more than 3 decades, Bob's Steak and Chop House has remained an icon of DFW restaurants. Why? Well, maybe it's because of Bob. He's fanatical about cleanliness and friendliness, and his food, oh my Lord, his food. If you've been there, you know about it. If you haven't been there, you should know about it. The original Bob welcomes you at either of his 2 locations, Bob's on Lemon Avenue or the sparkling new Bob's at Craig Ranch McKinney.
The LA Rams whipped the butt of Minnesota on Monday night to step forward in the playoffs. They're now a 6-point underdog at Philadelphia. Look a little closely at the Rams. They started this season 1-4. Why? Well, they had some injuries, and everybody. And they had a whole bunch of kids, rookies, breaking into the NFL. Takes a while for them to get acclimated. But since that 1-4 start, the Rams are 10-3 and playing exceptional football. How did this team go from winning the Super Bowl in 2021 with a veteran team to making it all the way back in here as a serious contender with a team full of kids? Remember, this is a Rams team because of those trades for veterans that did not have a first-round pick in any first round from 2017 to 2023. But in making those deals, they got Matt Stafford. They got their Super Bowl, and they're back now. This is a seriously good team. Well, why? Well, let's look at last spring's draft and the kids in it. Their numbers 1, 2, and 3 draft choices all start in their defense. Their number 6 draft choice starts at center. They had 3 other 6th-round draft choices. One of them is their first backup at wide receiver. Another is their first backup at nose tackle. And the 4th of those 6th-rounders is their place kicker. In all, this team starts 12 players drafted in the last 3 years. And if you look a little deeper into their depth chart, the Rams also have 11 other players who have 3 or less years in the league in first backup positions. This Rams defense, which is full of just children, is, oh yes, for sure the youngest in the league. But the cheapest defense in the league by $38 million? I got a feeling they're going to hang around for a while as a contender. Next, let's go to Washington, that won last week when Zane Gonzalez doinked a field goal off an upright and through to beat Tampa Bay. It was Washington's first playoff victory since January of 2006. You can do that math, so can I. 19 years. Now, how did Dan Quinn do it? Did he have another sensational draft like the Rams did? No. Oh, yeah, he drafted some nice players. But Dan Quinn and his general manager went around the league looking for veterans. Veterans that would not be high-priced now, but veterans who were good, solid players. This Washington team this weekend facing Detroit will have 22 veterans they picked up this offseason from 13 different clubs. And as you'd expect, Dallas was the favorite place to go picking up veterans. Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, Tyler Biadasz, the cornerback Igbenogene, and Noah Brown, who used to be a Cowboy, went through Houston and is now with Washington, but is hurt. That's what shrewd off-season dealing can do to turn a team's fortunes around. Let's go to Kansas City. What a remarkable run this team is on. I don't know if anybody, I know I was stunned by it, understands just how remarkable the run is. 12 years ago, actually now 13, 12 years ago, the new coach, Andy Reid, for reasons known only to God and broccoli, who was run out of Philadelphia, despite producing annually playoff teams, but he didn't win the Super Bowl. Let's see, a guy who produced playoff teams but didn't win the Super Bowl. Remind you of anybody recently employed in Dallas? Anyway, Andy Reid takes over a team from Romeo Crennel that went 2-14 and had only one winning season the last 6 years. Reid immediately turns it into a playoff team. In the last 12 years, Andy Reid has had all 12 winning seasons, 11 playoff appearances. In his second year, they went 9-7 and missed the playoffs. In the last 5 years, Andy Reid and Kansas City have won 3 Super Bowls and were defeated in a 4th one. They're going for an unprecedented 3rd consecutive Super Bowl victory. Reid's record at Kansas City, including playoff games now, all games, regular season and playoffs, this is absurd. 159 wins and 60 losses? No team ever in the history of the NFL has won 159 games in 12 years, and he's still got some games to play this season. If this team wins a 3rd straight Super Bowl, should we consider it the greatest team ever? Wait a minute. Even if they don't win another Super Bowl, are they the greatest team ever? And finally, Jerry has started his coaching search. Well, Lord knows how many people he's talked to, Dion, Belichick. Anyway, he started his public coaching search, interviewing Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh is a wonderful defensive mind. Remember when San Francisco kicked the butt of the Cowboys in the playoff games? Yeah, Robert Saleh was coordinating those defenses. Anyway, he was fired by the New York Jets after a 2-3 start. If Saleh should get the Cowboys job, he will have worked for perhaps the 2 most bizarre owners in the National Football League. Woody Johnson, who this season it was revealed, asked his teenage sons for the evaluation of a player by that player's ranking in the Madden game. Woody Johnson and Jerry Jones. And I think you can almost legitimately say these are 2 of just a handful of teams in the NFL who don't seem to have any obvious plan for what they're doing. And the Jets, when the period to start beginning interviewing prospective head coaches began, the Jets requested interviews with 14 coaches. 14! Lord, they may not have the interviews finished before next season. They asked permission to talk to 5 offensive coordinators, 4 defensive coordinators, 3 former head coaches, including Rex Ryan, who's been out of this league for a pretty long time, 1 interim coach, the guy who became the interim coach in New Orleans. The Jets are going to now, they're going to interview for the head coaching job. And finally, for Brian Griese. Brian Griese stopped playing after the 2008 season. He then spent 12 years on TV as a college football analyst, then 3 years in the Monday night booth, and then the last couple of years with San Francisco as their quarterbacks coach. That's the only NFL team he's ever worked for as a coach. In fact, Brian Griese has never been a coordinator or a head coach at any level: high school, college, NFL. With all these candidates, it appears the New York Jets are taking the buckshot approach to identifying a head coach. That is, you load both barrels of the shotgun with buckshot and you fire it off wildly, believing surely at some point you got to hit something.
Today's episode brought to you by Fluent Financial, Retire Sooner, Better Lifestyle, and by Crest Cars. There's good, there's better, and then there's Crest. And by Bob's Steak and Chop House.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Just Wondering with Norm Hitzges. If you enjoyed what you heard, please hit follow, and a fresh new episode will be delivered to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you know someone who might enjoy our work, please share it with them. I'm Norm Hitzges, and I'm always just wondering about something.
And I'm Mary Hitchkus, and I'm just wondering too.